So I mentioned earlier, I'm Mike Bowler with the Link Local Network. Link Locally, Connect Globally. We're at the Illinois Institute of Technology in Wheaton, Illinois this evening for the third seminar in the Thriving in a Global Economy and Crisis series we're doing. Capital availability for startups and small businesses in today's market. I have with me Tom Goldblatt, who probably knows more about capital availability for startups and small businesses. Knows it as well as anyone. Anyway, so Tom.
Nice of you to say.
Tell us about yourself. You have two different companies, Ravinia Capital, as well as you work with Monomoy Partners also, correct? Capital Partners.
That's right. I work with both. Monomoy is a private equity fund, and Ravinia is the intermediary that I run. And basically, what I do is I'm really a solution provider. So companies that are challenged for capital. I'll get all sorts of referrals from various professionals or business owners or executives in transition. Will come to me when it's not the standard thing. If you can go to the bank on the corner, that's not going to be the type of deal or something. So they'll come to me when they're not sure what's available. And I'll work with the companies and show them solutions that are available. That often there's always a solution. It's not often always something everybody wants. Sometimes you can make everybody happy that they can get debt capital. They thought they were going to have to give away the whole farm with equity. Other times you have to give people some tough news, but you can show them even in a restructuring that there's ways to work within that system and come out running your company. So I like to kind of look at myself almost like a doctor or something. When people refer companies sick, and I'm kind of or not sick, but like growing fast or in need capital, and kind of bring them the solution that they can get to that good place.
As you mentioned, also currently, at least we're in the election year, but it appears that private equity as well as the entire banking industry has been somewhat vilified a little bit by the media. There's a little bit of misunderstanding there, I think, in particular with private equity. What do you say?
Oh, that's for sure, Mike. It's absolutely, it's very upsetting because you do see a lot of, even within the Republican primaries where you had, Newt Gingrich kind of attacking Mitt Romney. It's easy stuff to do to point the finger, but the fact is that private equity, instead of it's portrayed as kind of vulture capital or no risk, and it's something that's kind of a drain on the system. The fact is that private equity is one of the most important things right now for our country, because private equity, what it is, it's pools of risk capital that take that money and they go after smaller companies. They don't go after public companies. Private equity targets companies about $20 million in revenue to $300 million. These companies typically don't have access to the public markets. And so what private equity does is they take this pool of money and then they invest it, and they bring either management, capital. What they're doing is they're looking for an idea that some entrepreneurs have done really well and help them to bring it to another level. That's right now what our country really needs, because the country needs small businesses, which are the biggest provider of jobs, to start growing. The other ironic thing about it is that the investors in private equity tend to be pension funds and the workers themselves. So it's a really important thing, and so I hate to see where people are vilifying private equity, because it's really what we need right now.
Right, as you mentioned, most people don't realize. They think they're speculators. 80% or roughly 80% of the people that invest in private equity are institutions, whether they public, private pension funds, endowments. Are there any universities in the country that don't invest in private equity?
That's exactly right. I mean, of course there's outliers, but in general, that's the money is coming in from those pools of capital, and that they're pulling it together. It's a higher return for them typically. But I've seen it where the private equity, they definitely are risk takers, and again, they're taking companies, and often, they'll hold them. It's not super long term. It's like about a 5 to 8 year span. But in this day of a public company, which has a window of looking at the next 3 months, this is almost long term thinking.
Very good. I can speak for everyone here, or at least I personally know that Tom is a tremendous connector and or networker, also with a huge network in the not only Chicagoland area, but nationally too. So I'd highly recommend that if you need to have some information about maybe private equity or banking or looking for some capital, you contact Tom Goldblatt. Ravinia Capital, Monomoy Capital Partners. Tom, how do they get a hold of you?
The idea is this.
Well, they could look on the Ravinia Capital LLC website, Tom Goldblatt, and research it. I'm sure if they put Tom Goldblatt, LinkedIn, Chicago, they're going to find me as well. And I agree with you. I think right now, part of the reason that I do so much connecting is that I do believe that something after the 2008 recession is that everybody has to look out for helping not just themselves, but they have to look out for their connections. There's no such thing now, I see, as long-term employment. You know, you talk to some people and say, oh, I'm in transition. Well, I think everybody's in transition now because companies now aren't keeping people like 30, 40 years and say, oh, you know, Stanley slowed down, let's put him over towards the window and we'll pay him this large pension in 15 years. No, what's happening now is it's all like, if you work for a company, they'll keep you as long as they think it's a good investment. And you'll work for a company as long as you think it's a good investment. So I think everybody needs to make sure that they are, you know, building up their network. Because you can lose a job and get fired from a job, but you can't get fired from your network. And people aren't going to help you unless you're looking to help them. And I always say to people too, it's like, start networking now no matter what you're doing. You don't want to, it's not, I didn't invent this saying, but you don't want to dig the well. You want to dig the well before you're thirsty.
You're soon to be an author.
Well, I definitely am thinking of putting together a book, because there's a lot of basic networking tools that everybody can do. And I think a lot of people think it's a lot harder, a lot more mystifying, and they get intimidated. And really all it is the basic blocking and tackling. If a person just shows interest in other people, and you know, when you meet them, find out what they do. And then the real key is that most people don't do is follow up. So basically, follow up, stay in touch with people, because it's just like in selling it, you want to be top of mind. And I use the networking to make sure I know all the good capital sources, because like my value is having the people that I know, that not just another guy that can do, you know, a loan to a healthy company with $10 million EBITDA and great assets. I want to be the guy that can find the sources that, you know, was tougher. So it's very good value.
Right. Tom Goldblatt, Ravinia Capital, Monomoy Capital Partners, I believe.
Yeah.
Reach out to you. It'd be great.
Thanks.
Delighted you could join us tonight.
It's my pleasure.
All right.